Hey everybody, Coach Keith Keppner here with this video based off of popular requests. I'm talking about head movement. I'm going to talk mainly about slipping, but also other aspects of head movement because there's a lot of, in my opinion, misunderstanding or misconceptions, particularly with people when they first started getting into boxing, but also sometimes some of the funky things that, or myths that will almost get espoused about head movement that I see oftentimes that I don't think make that much sense. So I'm going to give you my perspective, what I was coached on, and what I have found the most success with coaching fighters, right? So not just what I've found works for me, but what I have found works for people who I've produced and made successful with boxing. All right, we're going to use this tool. It's a good tool. It's not absolutely necessary, but it's helpful, right? This and the slip rope are the two tools that I like for head movement, but also just, of course, you know what I'm going to say, shadow boxing is great as well. So you don't need this. You don't need a slip rope. You just need shadow boxing to learn it, but this provides some demonstrations. Before I even talk about the details and all the stuff about head movement, slipping, things like that, let's talk about just the idea of quote-unquote getting the head off line, right? So if this is the line or the lane of our punches, right, that he's going to hit you with, right? You're in your boxing stance, and here it is. These are the punches that are coming for you. Anything you can do to get out of the way of this punch is probably going to be a good idea, right? If we can get out of the way of this punch and do it the smallest amount possible, we're going to be successful. And just to beat a dead horse on this point, why do you want the smallest as possible? Because not only do you want to save energy, but also it's harder to exploit you if you make it smaller, right? The more that my head movement becomes big, the more I run out of other options. My return is going to be slower, and I'm in positions that are not advantageous to multiple things. But the more I can make my defensive movements small, just enough that I clear, then I'm able to come back quicker. And also, if I read something wrong, right? Let's say I'm boxing somebody and I'm here and I'm ready to slip a shot, but oh wait, there wasn't the right time. If I do my movement like that, that's all I needed to get out of the way of the shot. But if I do my movement like this, then I've put myself in a position where now you can tag me on that side. All right? So these are all the little basic concepts. With head movement, I want you to think about a couple shapes. All right? I want you to think about the almost like the side-to-side windshield wiper shape. Let me actually pull a whiteboard in here to show this really quick. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure you click like and subscribe and stick around to the end where I give you some deep thoughts about how you can apply all of what I'm talking about into your boxing training. All right. I don't know if you can see this with the light. Got a lot of other stuff from our other sessions for boxing that we run, but I want you to think about these shapes here. Kind of like a little bit of an upside down smiley face, right? So if your head's starting somewhere in this place, it's going to go side to side, right? So that's the slipping. Obviously not that drastic. But then once you're on a side, you can drop on that side, right? I'm on that side, I'm going to drop on that side. And then as well, once you do that, also from the going to the side point, painting a U with your head, right? So that's kind of the weave shape, or some people call it rolling. And then you can literally, that kind of turns into like a rolling shape, a circular shape. If I'm here and I slip over and go under, come back around, I'm literally kind of rolling my head around. Or if I'm on this side, I'm weaving my head around side to side. Here, I keep my chin down here, boom, like that. Side to side, it's creating that U shape, a little bit of a circular shape. But then also, if I slip on a side, okay, this is set kind of for my height, short height. But if I slip on a side, let's say I'm going to be kind of high, but if I slip on a side like this, and if something comes on this side, then I should be ready to bob on that side a little bit, right? I can be on the side a little bit like this, shot comes, and I bob it, and I get out of the way of the shot. Or I can even step in like I keep on doing the show, right? Because I don't want to get hit by the heavy stuff in this, right? Maze ball, it's full of full of hard corn. Well, actually, this isn't filled with almost anything. I think there's like fluff in this. But anyway, which is cool because then I can, if I make a mistake, I'm going to hit, it doesn't hurt. Anyway, so go that side to side, dropping levels once you're on a side. Some famous fighters I've seen do this, like Dwight Muhammad Kwai, right? Let's say I'm here, kind of my old school boxing stance. Let me actually get on this side. Here in my old school boxing stance, I shoot a right hand. That brings me to this lane. But then let's say a shot came. Whew, I want to be able to drop under that. Drop under that, I keep myself cocked to come back, boom, with the big left hook. All right? So let's say I'm here, and I shoot the 1, 2, I'm here, bob, bam. Or I slipped over here, bob on that side, come back with a shot. Some more nuances I'm going to talk about a little bit later. All right? But I want you to think about that idea of head movement. And also, I forgot, just from being in the middle, going down. I had one fighter who won, some different Golden Glove titles and whatnot. And he actually never lost for the time that he fought. But he would literally just block punches, catch punches, and dip. That's all he'd do. He'd be like this, hands up, dipping. That's it. And he'd dip just enough to avoid punches. And that's it. You can get out of every single headshot with a dip, minus one punch, one type of punch. What punch is that? You know what it is. It's the uppercuts. And that's the only downside if we only work in this straight line, right? We work in this straight line, we're in the lane of the uppercut. And of course, once you go down there and you work in that straight line, they know you're going to be coming back up. So as you go up levels as a fighter, if you're always here and dropping straight down, come back up, he knows once you're here, you're going to be right back here. Bam, he can get you. Versus if you mix in a little bit of the side to side, the weave shapes, the rolling shapes here. And then last one that I didn't mention that incorporates the same type of shape is it's a circular shape, but it's on this plane. So instead of being here, it's going like this. It's going around the target, right? So if I'm here on this side, I might pull out, come on the other side here, and I might go a little bit forward even like this, rolling my head around in this shape so that I'm getting closer and further away. Obviously, like we know, some fighters, they will bait something by being in a little bit like that. Here, my head is over my knee or on my knee, and then from here, boom, that pull out just enough. I'm here, boom, pull out just enough to get the shot. You're going to take it away. But one thing to remember with those pulls, I used to not teach pulls. And I don't teach it still as a basic thing, but with people that I have that have some fights and some experience, I will teach the pull. Now, one reason why I wasn't taught how to pull punches was the idea that it leaves you vulnerable. And that's true, right? Because also a lot of times people will pull, and again, not to argue that bad habits or bad technique is the reason not to do a technique, but this can oftentimes happen. What's one of the biggest struggles that you have with a fighter, in my opinion? Keeping their chin down. And the more they can keep their chin down, the more we get hit in the hardest part of the head, the forehead, and the least we get hit in the jaw, the nose, and everywhere else that sucks, right? Do you want to have a professional boxing coach review your training, your sparring, your fights, give you tips, feedback, be that extra pair of eyes to help you get to the next level? Well, check out the level 2 option on this channel. You can go to the channel page, check out level 2, and with that option, you can send me your sparring video, fight video, training video, and I'm going to give you feedback, adjustments, thoughts, tips, and give you a whole breakdown of what you're doing, my perspective, and where are the biggest opportunities that you can leverage for massive success. All right, so guys, check out that option. Now, back to the video. But if I have a habit, a lot of guys, it's natural, right? A shot comes at them, and they'll pull out from it like that. But they'll do that. They'll pick the chin up, and then we get hit in the chin by the shot. Versus if you can help someone learn to just stay in the pocket and dip, slip, stay in the pocket a little bit, stay in the pocket here, then they're able to do more things and be more aggressive, throw more punches, versus if they're always in this habit of, woo, I'm pulling out of a shot, we're leaving our body available. And most people, when punches come to them, they want to do this. Now, of course, to talk about the nuance of pulling, we do want to pull, obviously, with our chin down. If we can help it, we're here, boom, keep it down. Here, and that makes it more safe. But what will make it even more safe, is if we can pull and do what most of the greatest pullers in boxing do. If you watch them, they pull and come off line as they pull. So I'm here, I pull, I come off line. So I went back and off to this side, back and off to this side, back and off to the side. So now, if they just reach a little bit further, I don't get hit by it. Very important concept, right? Because that's the problem sometimes with a pull. If my pull is just very nuanced, which it can be great if it's nuanced, obviously. I'm here, let's say, on this line. I'm here, I pull out that much, right? That's good, right? And I come back with my shot. But oftentimes when I come back with my shot, I might be running back into the shot that was coming after the miss of the hook, let's say, typically is what that pull is going to be, or the miss of the uppercut, right? Here, I pull, come off line, then I'm good, get off the straight shot. So I pull, get off line. If the straight shot reached further, or if after that hook there was a straight shot, I'm not in the same territory and in the same trajectory as that straight shot. Hope that makes sense to you. Also, where it becomes beneficial to do a little pull is on the inside, to put your head on different sides. If I'm here on the inside, let's say on this side, right like that, and that's essentially the line of the shot, I pull, come up on this side, do some shots. I weave under, I pull to get on different sides, and that gets me out of the way of uppercuts, things like that. I keep my chin down here, pull, get out of the way, here, get back on this side, here, pull, back on this side, and keep it nice and small as possible, because small movements are counterable. They involve great energy, and you can't throw back as fast as you'd like to, all right? Now, let me roll into some of the basics of slipping and some of the things that I think you need to watch out for, that are things that are oftentimes taught, which, again, I'm not going to say are wrong, but I see people oftentimes, when they're learning just the beginning of boxing, they'll get these kind of goofy things that they're going with, right? They'll think of slipping as, I'm going to pivot. I'm going to pivot my body. And like, yes, if you're in an old school boxing stance, you're a little bit concaved off to the side, and I twist my body to the lead side, like that, that's one of the benefits. My head comes offline naturally, just about as much as I want it to avoid a punch. Now, where this becomes the biggest problem is slipping to the rear side. I see a lot. People talk about being here, slip to the lead side, turn the body, turn the foot even, and be like this. Right? My vision's over here kind of. Maybe I'm still watching. But they almost make it like a shoulder roll, right? They're here, and it looks like they're doing that number, but they're supposed to be slipping. Why do I think that's a bad idea? Or if you do it often, it could be a bad idea, right? Just to have nuance. If you do that often, and typically which punch are you slipping this way, right? Orthodox fighter against an orthodox fighter. I'm here, I slip this way, and I do it like this, and I turn like that. What am I slipping? I'm slipping probably the jab. Well, what comes after the jab most of the time? What's that thing that comes after one? Two. Oh, that's right. After one comes a two. A lot of times. Everyone's taught that. Basic 1, 2, ba-ba. Right? Now, after, and a lot of times it comes quick. Now, if you slip to that rear side on there, and you're turning your body, not only are you putting in a position where it's harder to see that hand coming on that side, right? Their right side, your left side, coming down the pipe, but also any return fire you do is also going to cost you more time. Because the benefit of slipping or of head movement is to buy yourself time when you do it appropriately, right? If you do big movements, you're not buying yourself time, you're equaling time. What do I mean, right? You have someone that's shooting a punch. If they shoot a punch and they hit something, like an actual head or a person, that is going to cut off some time that would be created if they miss a punch. A little bit of a miss of a punch is a little extra time added to the retraction of that punch and what they do afterwards, right? That's why we can all throw faster when we hit a bag most of the time than shadow boxing if we're throwing full punches, like hard punches, because you have an object that resists you and stops you, and you don't follow through quite as much because you have a physical barrier, right? The benefit of making someone miss with head movement is that physical barrier is removed. Now there's that little bit of, just that little bit, and that little bit of time that you bought yourself, right, with your good boxing technique. Good boxing technique, skills pay the bills, right? Buys you some time. Now you use that time to counter them. But if you do your techniques in such a way that it costs you just as much time, now it's an even trade, right? And you didn't profit. We want to make sure we get a profit. You make them miss, you want to cost them some extra time that you can profit off of with your counter. So when we slip to our rear side, we're here, just that. Now, if you watch it from the side, let's say I'm here on the side, here, now I'm right there. It's not going to cost me much time at all to return fire. Now, if I do this though, Now it's going to cost me some time to return fire. And that little bit of extra time makes it when I come back up, I might be coming into the right hand, right? That's the danger of it. So very, very important ideas. And again, that's why you don't want to move too much when you move your head, because, you know, if I get under a big hook, but I go super deep to do it, by the time I'm coming back up, the next punch is coming. But if I go under a super big hook and bam, whoop, I can go under the next one, right? The smaller I can do it, the better. Now, and again, like I said, the right hand is already a slow hand, or the rear hand if you're southpaw. I don't care which stance you are. If I'm here and I slip here and I turn my body, it's going to cost me more time now. That's why we don't want to cock our punches before we throw it, right? Especially back here, right? It's already costing a little bit of time. The more I do this before I throw it, we all know it's going to cost more time. We don't like it, all right? We want to shoot it right from here. Bam. All right, you're already cocked for it, right? You already got one in the chamber. The hammer is pulled back. You're getting ready to go. All right, now, one thing too, though, we don't want to do is, let me be a little bit more square for this one, is another thing I see people do with head movement. They'll do this, which is like, it's kind of the idea. The tilt of the head I like. There's benefits to the tilt of the head, and I'm going to talk about that. But they'll replace their head with their shoulder, right? So here I am, going to slip, boom, like that. And yeah, I didn't get hit in the head. Win. That is a win. But I got hit in the shoulder. So now that time that we were talking about is not added to their miss or to their punch. You know, we want to profit off of time that we're going to add to their misses or to their punches. So you're going to cost us some more time if you make them miss fully. But if you make them miss and hit another part of your body, there's no extra time added to the punch. And it's going to control you a little bit, right? And it might throw you off balance a little bit, shut you down a little bit, all right? So we want to make them miss fully. I see guys do this oftentimes, especially beginners, but a lot of levels. They'll replace the shoulder with where the head is, like that. We don't want that. Now, granted, you could make the argument, rightfully so, that let's say hook's coming on this side, and I'm in my stance like that. Yeah, I might want to pop a shoulder in there. And of course, we all know, you know, shoulder rolling. We all know those ideas, right? Here, boom, like that. Cool, good stuff, good stuff. But that's not slipping. It's not head movement. That's using shoulders, right? Now, we want to do that shape that we talked about, where we're going to the side and slightly down, side and slightly down. And let's talk about the details of the slip to the rear side, what we want. So I'm here, right, in my stance. I like the old school boxing stance where I have that little bit of concaveness off to this side. Because like I talked about, when you shoot a right hand, you just come off line slightly anyway, or a rear hand if you're southpaw, you know, left hand. So, but here, I'm going to bow and just go off to the side a little bit. I'm not turning more. I'm not costing myself more time. I'm here in my stance, here, to the side. The head bows off a little bit to the side, just like that. If I try to do this with my head, it's too damn slow, and you still get hit by stuff. Also, what I like about this as well is that when my head goes off to the side a little bit, the top of my head is gone a little bit more as well. So now, all it takes is that little bit more of a drop or a dip to get me out of more punches, right? If I slip to the side over here, or let me just do the rear side like I'm talking about. If I slip to the side on the rear side here, and I keep myself like that, one is my shoulders getting away with the punch a little bit, but also if I misread that and there was a hook, now I'm going to drop a lot of distance to go under. Versus if I'm already here, I'm already slightly lower, and this is a little bit more. If I misread it, I'm good. That's the idea, the theory behind it. We want to bend the knees. Bend both knees. And you almost want to lean in with it. Almost. Not quite, but almost. What I mean. So I'm here. What a lot of times people do is they'll do this number. So see that? I still cost time. I pull back with my slip. Now for me to come back after that miss, boom, I might be coming back into the punch. Right? I'm not saying it's going to happen every time, but increasing likelihood. Sometimes when people miss, they stop. In that instance, you could absolutely do this move. You'd be totally fine. Right? But what I like is here, bam, and that gets us so we can get out of line or whatever. We get the shot off quick enough. It's just enough that we need. It's all we need. All right? One thing that I like as well is, and both things work, but I like keeping the hand a little bit on the side of the face when we slip over there. So therefore, if something else was coming, we're ready for it on that side. Now, of course, if you want to add time or subtract time from your right hand, you might want to put it more in front, right? I'm here, I slip over here, I might get a faster right hand off of that, right? Versus here, a little bit more time on the right hand. right? But I like having a habit of knowing how to slip to the side, keeping that hand on the side, because I've seen a lot of fighters, you know, me being a short fighter, a lot of short guys slipping to that rear side, fall right into the kind of a 45 angle shot, lead hook, or a hook to the body that they stuck their head into because they kind of went like this all the time, every time to avoid punches. All right, if you're getting off line with a straight punch, you just got to worry about if you're running into a shot. And that's true for the other side as well. Taking a quick break to say, make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe, share it with someone you think might benefit, and drop a comment below. Or drop me a super thanks. Appreciate it. Back to the video. Now let's talk about slipping to the lead side. Okay, so like I talked about, if we're sided up in our kind of old school boxing stance, which I like, if you're more straight up and down like this and a little bit more square, you know, then it gets to be a little bit different, right? You got to do a little bit of this lean over here. But if I'm already a little bit like this, old school boxing stance a little bit, and then I just turn my shoulders a little bit, I get off line of where that sucker's coming. That's all I need. I don't put my head forward. I don't put it back. And now, make sure you don't twist like you're actually shooting a right hand, though, or a two. Make sure when you do that slip, you don't do this. I see so many guys do this number. Boom. Right? Because, again, going back to the same principles we talked about. Typically, after this slip, I'm going to come back with a three, right? A lead hook. I just added a lot of time to that lead hook. Versus, to do a powerful lead hook, all you got to do is just open up that much, and now you made a lot of power on it. Enough. You've chambered it enough. There's a diminishing return sometimes, I find, if you chamber that sucker too much. And now it costs time, but also it doesn't add much power. Sometimes it almost takes away from power. I almost feel like instead of building momentum, it sometimes almost loses momentum. All right? And again, like we all know too, I don't give a damn, and no one gives a damn about the hardest punch that you can throw and wind up big time. Because against a decent fighter, it's going to be hard to land that. It's going to be hard to land that against a decent, tough fighter. All right. And again, what type of base are we building? Are we building our foundation on sand or on freaking granite? All right. Now, so that slip to the lead side, and again, we slightly drop levels on it, right? We're here, boom, slightly drop levels on it. So I go from here to here, right? And then right off of that, if it was a hook, whew, I could weave under that hook. That'd be good. Again, that idea. And have that head tilt just a little bit as you do it because it helps it clear. If I try to, let's see if I can do it, keep my head right here, I can do a lot of things that fight the efficacy of this. Also, too, like I talked about on this side, keep the hand up on the side here. Because then right from there, I don't want to go like that because now my great counter off of that is not set up as well as it could be, right? If I go from here and go like that, right from there, I can come back with a nice, bam, hard jab, a nice hook, whatever I want. Hook for the body, right? Classic move right there. I don't need to worry about necessarily always brushing that slip that happened, right? It's a little bit of a wasted move, man. If I want to brush the dang punch, man, I'll just brush it, bam, right? Or typically off a brush, it's gonna be a straight shot, boom, bam, or brush, boom, bam, shot like that. That's what I'm gonna do off that. But bring it to the side, because also if you misread it and it was a loopy shot, we might have blocked the loopy shot. And then that leads me to the next thing too, is that the idea of the mixing and slipping with your dipping is that it's going to get you offline automatically for those uppercuts, right? So I'm here. If I'm always just doing my head move right here, but sometimes mixing in here, now I'm offline, and you can slip an uppercut, bam. Slip an uppercut, bam. Just like that. Get offline of that uppercut. And then if we keep our chin down when we're slipping, it makes it way easier, right? Think about it. The longer you make your neck, the more your neck is like that, the harder it actually is to slip punches. Now, I know what you're saying. You saw Muhammad Ali do this, and he got away from some shots. But typically, you can be a lot faster, a little bit lower, chin down a little bit more, here. Because also it's cool. And again, you know, that's where taller guys don't do as much head movement when you're really tall. You know, and I guess if you're Ali, you do a little bit more of this, maybe. Try to keep our chin down because he did break his jaw in a fight. And, you know, he did take some shots that we don't all want to take. But the more you can keep the chin down, then people will actually aim for that forehead, and then it's easier for you to just get out of the way of the shot like that. And everything moves faster. I've also found that, I think I talked about this in the power punch video, that when you keep your chin down. I found that it actually can help your power. Right? That's my own personal theory. I don't have any actual evidence to back that up, but I found that through fighters I've worked with, as well as my own work in boxing, as well as my work under my father and Chuck Bodak, that you keep that chin down and it adds a little bit more power. Your head weighs about 10, 15 pounds. You add about 10 to 15 pounds behind your punch. And that's a lot. It's a whole another weight class. Now, when you spar and when you fight, I want you to oftentimes think about not necessarily moving your head always because you saw a punch. Yes, absolutely. You build a habit that you saw a punch and you slip that head off to the side, you bow off to here, and that's boom, I'm here, boom, come back with a shot here, dip, come offline with our punches a little bit, things like that, step in with the head movement, all of that. But also remember, all these moves work as feints, and they all should work fluidly together. So we learn them as pieces, yes, but like with me, I honestly was never taught head movement. I know it's not weird. I was never taught precisely how to slip a punch and things like that. Not because my dad was a bad coach. It's just because every time his philosophy was really basic. It was this, and it's a kind of an extreme philosophy, but there's a lot of good to it. Is that every time you move your head, boom, you should be throwing a punch. Boom, you should be throwing a punch. That's what I want to make sure I don't leave out. Get in the habit. Some of the best fighters you see are guys that not only move their head, not only are evasive, not only move their feet while they move their head, and a lot of different things, because I'm just talking about the basics, but they move their head and throw a punch at the same time. Typically a straight shot. Basics, right? They slip to the lead side, they shoot a rear hand as they do it. They slip to the rear side, they shoot the lead straight, the jab, as they do it. And that alone will mess people up big time. I know the hardest people I spar, there's this one guy I spar, had the pleasure of sparring him a few times, smaller than me. He had 50 pro fights, fought in Madison Square Garden, fought a lot of top guys, and I had the pleasure of sparring with him and having him beat up on me when he was getting ready for a little title fight that he won. And man, every time I shot a jab, he would slip, come over with that the two, or if I shot my two, slip and hit me with the two as well, right? I felt like, man, no matter what I did, I would throw a punch and I wouldn't see his punch. This actually leads me off to a side note that's something I'm working with one of my fighters right now on, who has a lot of experience and a good amount of fights, is I noticed this a little bit. When he's throwing his punches, he's focusing on his punches. He's not truly focused on what they're doing, right? How they're reacting to his punches with their body defensively, but also with how they're reacting with their punches, right? Because I noticed when he does pure defense, he's good. He knows how to slip punches, dip punches, everything else, do everything he does. But then when he's throwing his shots, he's not quite aware of what's coming back at him. And he looks like he gets surprised a little bit still, even though he's had, many fights. And because, sometimes if we just throw, we keep someone occupied. And even if they do hit back, we'll hit back right after that. But versus that higher level that we all want to get to, that maybe you're already at or you're soon to be at, is you're throwing your punches, and as you're throwing your punches, you see what the guy's doing. You see the next shot that's coming, or the shot that's coming as you're throwing, so you can react to it. All right? And that's a whole nother nuance, and it's a whole nother level, but it's something that I want you to still be aware of. And again, it is kind of what separates the wheat from the chaff, right? From you getting to that next level that you want to be at. Takes a lot of time, takes a lot of visualization. And but remember, though, kind of wrapping it back to me not necessarily being taught how to move my head. I was taught to kind of like jab, dip, or roll under. And it wasn't specifically because a punch came. It was just a move to do that would create a feint. If he happened to shoot something, they would miss. And then if I wanted to move my head, if people were punching at me, and I think there's a lot of fighters like this, that they didn't break everything down to pieces, even like I'm doing right now. And when punches come, they just move their head. Okay, let me just get out. Oh, man, I might get hit by something slightly, but I'm just moving my head out of the way here. Oh, just like that. I might get hit by something on my forehead. Cool, but I'm trying to move my head out of the next one. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. I see it with some of my guys. They'll get stuck in this analog place that we don't want to be at as a fighter, right? I know I've hit this place sometimes when I box, where I'm like throwing a right hand and sparring. I'm like, was that a good right? Did I do that right? Was my balance? No. Like at the end of the day, man, you can be sloppy as hell. You can do a lot of things wrong. But as long as you do a few things right, hit them, don't be hit as much. you know, you're checking the boxes of being a decent boxer. Because you can have all the technical practice, you can do all the work that every coach says to do, but if you don't check off those boxes of hit and don't be hit, or hit more than you get hit, you're not a good boxer, right? And that reminds me, I think I told the story already, but I'll tell it one more time. I remember my dad telling me about Chuck Bodak, telling him the story about one of these amateur fights, or maybe it was a, I don't know what level fight it was, but regardless, a guy got beat up by a real sloppy guy. A real pretty boxer got beat up by a sloppy guy. So imagine like a Gene Fulmer type guy beating up, one of the many guys that he beat up. And, you look at Gene Fulmer, you're like, damn, dude, that's sloppy as hell. Or I think about Rocky Marciano, how a lot of his punches look. And against a slicker boxer like Ezra Charles, right? But if he beat Ezra Charles, he's a better boxer. So you can't criticize him. And sometimes that will happen, man. A guy will lose to a guy that's sloppy as hell and be criticizing the guy's boxing technique. And it's like, yes, like from a coaching perspective, there could be some things to work on, some things to be desired. But the end-all, be-all is what I said earlier. Hit and don't be hit. All right? I hope this helps you with your boxing training. Understand these concepts. Make you better at slipping, dipping, weaving under punches. Paint those U's, paint those circles, side to side. Drop levels a little bit. Little pulls here and there. Pull, come off line. Pull and come off line the other way. I pulled and came off line over here, but you pull, come off line on this side. Because whatever comes afterwards, you might be out of the way of it. And mixing that variety with your head movement. Don't get stuck in the box of I'm going to slip this, I'm going to dip this, and this, that. Let yourself be free. Practice, practice, practice. But when you go up in the ring to spar or to fight, trust your training. Trust your training. That was something I told a few of my guys, but one guy in particular that comes to mind where I told him that. Trust your training. Trust your training. And when he got that locked in his head, he's looking pretty damn good. All right, guys, make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe, comment below, let me your thoughts. Let me know what you think about head movement, about what I said, any more nuances. And also, let me know if you have any kind of things or topics you want me to expand upon. Really appreciate this community. If you don't mind, drop me a super thanks as well. Look at maybe becoming a member. You can send me, when you're a member of this channel, that level 2, you can send me your fight video, sparring video, or video of you training, and I'm happy to give you analysis and breakdown. I've already had quite a few people do it, and I've actually already got the beautiful opportunity to see with just a few special ones, they'll send me follow-ups, and I see their progress, and dang, that's a cool thing. So I'm all about positively impacting people, and again, I appreciate this community, guys. See ya.